People, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. So this Isak situation, right? It's looking like Newcastle are finally going to get their way, or maybe not, right? There was the message from Isak, and he wrote, "I'm proud to be recognized by my fellow professionals with a place in the PFA Premier League Team of the Season for 2024-2025. First and foremost, I want to thank my teammates and everyone at Newcastle United who has supported me along the way. Not at the ceremony tonight. With everything going on, it didn't feel right to be there. I've kept quiet for a long time while others have spoken. That silence has allowed people to push their own versions of events, even though they know it doesn't reflect what was really said and agreed behind closed doors. The reality is that promises were made, and the club has known my position for a long time. To now act as if these issues are only emerging is misleading. When promises are broken and trust is lost, the relationship can't continue. That's where things are for me right now, and why change in the best interest of everyone, not just myself. Alexander Isak." So obviously, naturally, he feels like he was made certain promises and those promises have not been met. What could it be? Potentially, a new contract, more money, more bonuses, whatever the situation could be. Now, from a human perspective or a human side of things, you're thinking, you know what? If you go to your everyday job and there's promises that, you're going to get these bonuses, you're going to be considered for certain positions, certain roles, listen, after this quarter, we're going to reevaluate your package, we're going to get you more money, yada, yada, yada. If that is not being then, followed up with, you're going to feel some type of way. So you have to understand it from that perspective, right? That, you said these things to me and you've not followed through. And with that being said, I don't feel like I want to work with you anymore. I don't feel like I can work with you anymore. I don't trust you, and I would like to go on my merry way. The problem with this is you still have a 3-year contract with them. If you don't like a certain job, or like people who have, our regular 9 to 5s, if you don't like a job, you quit and you keep it moving. There's no money coming through. It is what it is. See, in this situation, you have a contract, and your employer is not trying to terminate your contract. They're not trying to let you leave unless how much they value you for is being met. Now, look, you got to look at it from Newcastle's perspective. We tried to sign Ekitike. Liverpool then went and signed Ekitike, who was one of our targets. Granted, at this point, Ekitike probably would have rejected them too anyway, because everybody's rejecting Newcastle. So there's really no guarantee that you have gotten Ekitike, but you probably would have been in a position to be able to offer something that would have enticed Ekitike to come to the club. Liverpool went and signed him, and now they want to sign Isak too. So you're looking at it from Newcastle's perspective. They're like, yo, one, we don't want to sell the guy to you. Two, you took one of the biggest targets that we were looking at, and there was no guarantee Newcastle would have gotten Ekitike. Just on the balance of how the transfer window has gone, there's no guarantee would have happened. But they can look at it that way. You took one of our targets, you made it hard, and now you're making our striker, who still has 3 years left on his contract, to go, to want to force his way out. So I see it from both sides of the coin. Look, he feels like he's earned the right to get paid more money, and you haven't, followed through with that. So does this whole situation end up with Isak, then get paid more money. This after all of this, is the resolution going to be, um, okay, we're going to give you more money now, and let's just squash the situation. Then Newcastle also responded. Let me just put this up real quick. But they responded to Isak's message, and they basically said they do not foresee the conditions of an Isak sale being met and are disappointed by the Swedish striker's statement. Newcastle also say Isak could be welcome back. And look, at this point, you need Isak back. Like, it's not even you know what? Nah, we're not even going to say nothing to you. No, you need Isak back. Like, there's just nobody out there that wants to join Newcastle. There's been links with Wissa. Even Brentford don't want to sell Wissa to Newcastle anymore. So at this point, the only thing you could do is ask Isak to come back. Genuinely, like, offer him the contract he wants, but would he want to sign it now? Because now he feels, the relationship is broken. He doesn't feel like he wants to play for the club. He doesn't feel like he wants to represent the badge. He doesn't feel like he wants to put on that jersey. And it's a messy situation, but the statement continues. We are disappointed to have been alerted to a social media post by Alexander Isak this evening. We're clear in response that Alex remains under contract and that no commitment has ever been made by a club official that Alex can leave Newcastle United this summer. We want to keep our best players, but we also understand players have their own wishes and we listen to their views. As explained to Alex and his representatives, we must always take into consideration the best interest of Newcastle United, the team, and our supporters in all decisions, and we have been clear that the conditions of a sale this summer have not transpired. We do not foresee these conditions being met. This is a proud family club with proud traditions, and we strive to retain our family feel. Alex remains part of our family and will be welcomed back when he's ready to rejoin his teammates. So he's still got a choice to make, and he still has a say in it. Look, they're not going to go grab him handcuffs and bring him to join the team. They're probably just going to let him keep not training, probably fine him, maybe not pay him. But then also you still got to pay him his wages because he's contracted for the next 3 years. So then how does that work? Do Newcastle go, we're not going to pay you? Because then his contract says you're going to pay him for the next 3 years. So you're going to pay him and potentially fine him. And that's just maybe what happens and how it works for both parties. But this situation is messy, man. Like, for me, I got to the point where I say, you know what? Just get the bread and sell him. Because even I said I don't want Newcastle selling him to Liverpool. Obviously, I wouldn't want my rivals getting strengthened. But it's messy now. And Newcastle needs to be able to bring in players for the summer, but this situation is tough. But realistically, there's a price that Newcastle is saying we want Liverpool to pay, and Liverpool don't want to pay it. If Newcastle are asking for 150 and you want him that bad, well, you're either going to pay it because you think he is the missing piece to your puzzle, or you say, you know what, in as much as we want you, we're not giving you 150. Like, that's just not happening. So far from Liverpool, as we know, they're not bidding until Newcastle are giving them, clear invitations to bid again. So it feels like Liverpool might just have to move on to a different target, or just wait to see out this summer. He has 2 more years on his contract. And if they renew it, sure. If they don't, then Newcastle would have to be forced at least next summer to sell him either way. So this is a messy situation, man. Very, very messy. And it's just, bro, they just got to figure this out at this point. Like bringing him back into the team is just going to leave a potential sour taste in all these players, because now what can everybody just decide to do what he does if they feel like promises are not being met and made to them, and this is what happens with these gentlemen agreements, man. We've seen it time and time this summer that when you say you have a gentleman's agreement, it don't mean squat. Clearly, like, you have to go to the extreme to feel like you're able to get the resolutions you want. And you've seen a few players, like, look at Xavi Simons. He wants to go to Chelsea. He's told all these other clubs, especially Bayern Munich, I want to go to Chelsea. But guess what? He's still training for Leipzig. He's still playing because he wants to leave the right way. That's another way you could do it. All right. He could have thrown his toys out the pram. He could have been like, yeah, I ain't showing up for no games. Count me out. And then that just makes it a bit more harder for the selling team and the buying team to make business. Because now if you have a contract and you're moving this way, you know what? F all that. I ain't selling you. Who do you think you are? But it's just, they just got to sort this out sooner rather than later, because, bro, it's not good for anybody. It's not good for Isak. It's not good for Newcastle. Just figure it out. And it's looking like they say, yo, we're not selling you. So yeah, it is what it is. But we'll see what happens. The window's still open for a week or two. We'll see what these guys want to do. But in other news, very, very exciting news. David Ornstein gave us RB Leipzig stepping up talks with Chelsea over deal to sign Christopher Nkunku. Direct contact between clubs on permanent move for 27-year-old Chelsea forward. Not close yet. Still other options, but France International open to RB Leipzig return. I think this is probably going to be the best move for Nkunku, Chelsea, Simons, Leipzig. Call it a day. Bayern Munich shown interest. You legit went to Stuttgart and offered over 60 million euros for Nick Watermaid. But then you want to pull up and ask for a loan for Nkunku? We just all saw you spend about 50 M's on Luis Diaz from Liverpool. We know you got money. So this loan thing, and the thing is, we've been informed, Chelsea stance has always been, we're not loaning Nkunku. You want the player is going to be a permanent transfer. That's it. And Bayern Munich right now, you could potentially use an Nkunku in your team. Think about this forward line. Luis Diaz, Christopher Nkunku, Michael Olise, and Harry Kane. Now that sounds very nice, doesn't it? Diaz on the left, Olise on the right, Nkunku centrally, right behind Harry Kane. Give you some cover for Musiala till he gets back from injury. 27, you still get a winner, a double winner, double cup winner, world champion in your team, 27 years, still has a lot of his prime yet, and he already knows the league through and through. But since Bayern don't want to play ball, RB Leipzig is stepping up. And honestly, I hope he goes to Leipzig. Nkunku deserves a game time because he's clearly not going to get it here. And he's one of the players that I liked from coming to Chelsea. It hasn't worked out. And I want him to still have the best of his career, not be sitting on the bench, barely getting any kind of game time. So I think it just works for all parties. But the way Bayern and moving is crazy. But then funny thing is, if you pull up to these German clubs to sign their players, it's a problem. Look at Dortmund and the way they're moving over Carney Chukwuemeka. When they sold us Gittins for 50 M's, you still got that money. So why you want to pull up with some Lico 17 for Chukwuemeka? Like, nah. You guys want to sell us your players for the highest. And then when you show up, you want loan deals with 15 million obligation. What? Nah. Buy the player full time or keep it moving. So absolutely not. We're not gonna sell you Nkunku for no loan, no nothing like that. And then this was the biggest one too. Spurs and Eze. Apparently, I think there's already been an agreement for like what 55 M's between Eze and Tottenham. He's accepted personal terms. He's still going to be training as normal, but he's ready to go to Tottenham. And this is like a big L on Arsenal's part. I'm not even gonna lie. Arsenal this summer, we were told, was gonna be Noni Madueke, Eze in separate deals, and they were going to, bring in some serious quality. Now it's really looking like it's just gonna be Noni, it's gonna be Gyökeres, and that's it. Not getting Eze, I'm not gonna lie, it's a big L for Arsenal. Now Tottenham have just improved their attack, and they still have people coming from injury to add to that. I don't think they're gonna get Savio anymore because Man City don't want to sell him. But Eze and Kudus on that side alone, that's firepower. Now you got Eze, Kudus, Richarlison, who looks like he wants to do something else. You still got Solanke. You have Brendan Johnson, who's going to get you goals. In as much as he might be a limited footballer, he's always going to give you goals. So now, boom. Tottenham look like they've upgraded. And Arsenal, on the other hand, it's just more of the same. I mean, you haven't really upgraded. Like, Noni's not that much of an upgrade on Trossard. I still think Arsenal's best left winger is Leandro Trossard, and he just signed a new deal today, so he's not going anywhere. They're not signing any more left wingers. No Rodrigo, no Leao, no Eze, and it's just like, damn. Now we saw Gyökeres in his first game, and he looked like he just wasn't sharp and he wasn't fit. And I think Gyökeres is still going to get a decent amount of goals, but he needs to improve, and he needs to improve fast. I think Eze would have definitely added a different bit of dimension to this Arsenal team, brought them some much needed creativity in that midfield. But now it's just Tottenham that are just they doing the best business, man. They're doing the best business, and then we're going to finish this off with the endless cycle of this news that we've just been hearing time and time and time and time and time and time again. Alejandro Garnacho. Apparently he's rejected Bayern Munich for Chelsea. Yeah, I genuinely don't know what it is I don't know what it is about Chelsea that Garnacho really wants. I don't understand it. I'm trying to understand what it really could be. I don't understand it. I really don't get it. I'm trying to get it, but I still don't understand what it is about Chelsea that is making him just reject everybody else. Chelsea are advancing in club to club talks for Garnacho, deal underway with Man United. Excellent relationship with CEO Barada and Chelsea hierarchy. Garnacho only wants Chelsea and turned down an approach from Bayern in last 48 hours. No chance. So I'm struggling to understand what it really is. Does Garnacho just want to come to Chelsea and dunk on United and just I don't know. I don't know, but I don't get it. Yes, he wants to stay in England, sure. He wants to stay in the Prem. Okay, I guess these are the reasons. But why Chelsea? I don't understand. And then there was an article today. Who broke it? It was a Sky cover, that Chelsea value Alejandro Garnacho for like 25 M's, and that is perfect. Like that's the perfect, when you're talking of a what's the word? What was that buzzword? That why am I not remembering the buzzword? It's too late for this anyway. Oh, opportunity. 25 M's is an opportunity. Yes. So if that's what we're looking at, and obviously United still value Garnacho at at 50 M's. So it's either looking like they buck and sell him to us, or he just stays at United, which he's it's been reported that he is fine with doing that. He's fine with just staying there and not doing anything. So it's going to be very, very interesting. I think Matt Lohr earlier also reported that Chelsea have a deal in place for Xavi Simons, and I think it was saying something along the lines. I don't know if he broke it, but he's going to play against Bayern Munich, and then his deal to Chelsea will be complete. Look, I guess we got to wait till Friday to really understand, but Leipzig moving for, Nkunku, it just tells you there's something, like, it feels like this deal is already done, and we've been told that already. It just feels like a done deal. Chelsea needs to move players out. You need to, and it's the whole Champions League thing. We got to move certain players out to be able to register, one, money on the books, and I think two, be able to register these new signings we've had for the Champions League squad. So that's why we're trying to get either Jackson or Nkunku out of here, preferably both. Garnacho wouldn't need to be on the A list. He can be on the B list because he's homegrown or something like that. The A listers will have to be your Estaval, your Xavi Simons, your Gittins. Will Gittins also count as homegrown? I'm not even sure because he did play with Man City. So would he also have to be on the B list? But Joao Pedro, Delap potentially could also be on the B list. I'm not sure, but don't quote me on that. But Hato, Andre Santos, Asugo, like these are the people you're looking at and you think, okay, they might not be registered. So we need to be able to, bring in that the bread from Jackson and Nkunku. But all in all, man, listen, it's been a very busy news day, but I think the Isak thing just encapsulated everything with this whole back and forth. But look, they'll make the best decision. If they decide not to sell him, they're not going to sell him. If they decide at the end to sell him to Liverpool, it is what it is. Saga over, and let the season start, man. But people, as always, like the video, hop in the comments, sub to the channel. I'm going to catch you on the next one. Peace.